Hey guys, good morning everybody. I hope everybody's having a fantastic start to your day as every day. But hey guys, look, I want to continue again to talk about debt, okay? And today I think what I'm going to do is look, perspective's everything, guys. Um and I get it. Look, when you take advice from somebody, you want to hear it from somebody that's been there. And here's what I want to do today. I want to tell you a little bit about my story, okay? Okay, so I moved out of my house at 18. Okay. I have great parents that took great care of me when I was young. But like a lot of young people, I had a sense of independence and I wanted to get out on my own. Okay. And so I decided to get me an apartment. And I did. And I did fine. I was working at UPS as a supervisor there, and I was working part time. And I was also um, going to school full time. Okay. And so I was a very busy person. But what was happening was, UPS was paying the majority of my tuition, but my housing cost was keeping me down. It was keeping me down. And, I was getting by. I wasn't going into debt yet. But I tell you what happened and where everything started was when I went to get books. Okay. Now keep in mind UPS reimburses you for books. They did then. They paid for your tuition, but they reimbursed you for your books. So I didn't have the money to buy them up front. And so I saw this shiny little credit card advertisement sitting on the countertop where you get your books. And as I took those books up there, and the weight of the cost of those books continued to weigh on me, and I had the cash, but I knew I could use that cash for other things I needed, legitimate needs at the time. Like anybody that's been there knows at that age when you have money, you do a lot of entertainment, but you have real needs that are really hard to meet because you don't have a lot of income coming in. So I picked up that credit card under that weight and I signed up. Okay. And it wasn't a big deal then. It was for emergencies. And this, in my mind, was an emergency at the time because I felt the weight of needing to have that extra money in case something else happened, right? And so I used that credit card to buy books. So we're talking about $300-400. But what happened was is they gave me a $2,000 credit limit. And to a young guy at that age, that's a lot of money. I've never handled that kind of money before. And it was like, wow, it just opened up the doors of possibilities. And I think that's the hook that they get with young people is that they throw them into this a big, large amount of money they've never had to handle before. Um, and I think that we could translate that kind of feeling into today. I think that's why we see and watch on TV a lot of lottery winners. They come into money they've never dealt with before, and they don't know how to handle it. And so, but anyways, back to my story. Um, and so I got a credit card, and it didn't seem like things were so bad. I was doing okay. I was getting by. I was getting an education, right? I wasn't getting a whole lot of sleep, as you can imagine, working third shift at UPS and then going to school. And of course, at that age, a lot of partying and things I probably should have stayed away from. But at that time, that was my life. I was partying. I was working and a little bit, and I was going to school. And so a couple of years went by. Things weren't going so bad. I was starting to get an education, and I was starting to get some roots, and you know, I hadn't gone into too much debt. And then I got in a car accident. This happened quite a bit when I was young, unfortunately. I got in a few car accidents. And, I was still in school. I was still working at UPS, and I didn't have a lot of cash. I didn't have any cash. Okay. But I had a $2,000 credit card. Okay, y'all see where this is going already. And so I had no credit. I had, I had a little bit of credit. I didn't have car credit, let's put it that way. I couldn't go get a car loan. And so what did I do? I did the only thing I could at the time because I hadn't prepared for these type of expenses. I hadn't saved up an emergency fund. Here these guys going by me and they think I'm nuts. But anyways, I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't have any money saved up. Okay, and so I made the dreaded mistake of buying a car on a credit card. Yes, you heard me right. I bought a car on a credit card. Okay. So I bought a, what was that? It was a 89 Cavalier Z24 convertible top. It was sweet. For me then that was a sweet ride. I enjoyed that ride a whole lot. But anyways, so I bought that on a credit card at 23% interest and paid on it dearly. Paid a lot of interest on it for years. And then the bad part is I didn't keep the car for years. The car lasted, drum roll please, a full 4 months, and I wrecked it. I wrecked it. So now I have $2,500 on a credit card. Of course, obviously they extended my credit limit. $2,500 on a credit card, another wrecked vehicle, and I need another car. I bet you guys can guess what happened. I went and got another credit card. It was the only out I had. You know, I love my parents, but they couldn't do anything for me at the time either. This wasn't their fault, but they weren't in a position really to help a whole lot. They helped as much as they could, of course. But look, our parents, they have financial goals as well. They want to help me as much as they can, but they can only do so much. So I went and I got another credit card. It's the only thing I knew to do. I was ignorant at the time, first of all. Okay, I probably could have got a car loan if I tried hard enough. Uh, from looking at it now, I wish I would have just saved my money instead of going out partying all the time and spending it on booze and, oh my goodness, some things we won't even talk about on this blog. Okay, I once was not the angel I am now. Not that I'm an angel now, but anyways, let's get back to the point. But yeah, I spent my money on a lot of different things that I should have been uh, putting back for situations like this. And so I bought another car on credit card. So another $2,500. Bought a 90, let's see, what was it? A 98 Dodge Neon. The worst investment in the world, a Dodge Neon. But that's what I did. I bought a Dodge Neon. It was $2,500. And the good news is after that I bought that car, no more wrecks happened. The bad news is, guys, I had I had like 5 or 6 grand in credit card debt. Oh, and I forgot to mention on the '89 Cavalier, I actually had to replace the transmission, which was $1,200 that I didn't have the money for. So that was another $1,200. So I ended up with about $6,000 in credit card debt just in life happening. Granted, it was my driving skills was the biggest problem. Probably more my lack of sleep because I wasn't getting enough sleep, and one of them, unfortunately, was because I fell asleep at the wheel. So, you know, uh, my lifestyle was the problem. My preparation and my finances was a problem. Um, and the fact that I was getting wrecked was a problem, right? But look, guys, I did not have a plan in my earlier years. I relied on credit cards. And it happened the moment I walked into a bookstore. In my most vulnerable moment is when these credit look, I don't have a problem with people making money, okay? But I have a problem with companies that are sucking the life out of people. I mean, these credit card companies to me are as bad as, granted it's not nearly as high the annual interest rates, but they're as bad as payday lenders. To me they are, because these outrageous interest rates that they charge for people that are young and dumb. I mean, or we can call them ignorant, okay? Because I don't. There's no negative connotation here. The fact is, when we're young, we just don't know as much, right? And so I went after the credit card. I did what I had to do at the time. Now let's fast forward uh, another couple years, and I bought my first condo, okay? And that was probably 2005. 2005, I believe it was. And I went in reasonable. My mortgage was about $400 and $200 in um, maintenance fees, right? And so it was about $600. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I couldn't afford to do it on my own, so I had a roommate. Okay, and so I learned over time, that was a bad plan too. And let me tell you why. Is because although owning a home is good financial move, it's not a good financial move if you can't afford it. It's really not, because it's begging. Look, a house can be a blessing or it can be a curse, depending on whether you're financially ready to afford it. Because here's the thing, things are going to happen in your life. That mortgage company, regardless of those things, they're still going to want their mortgage payment. So, guys, if we're not ready to take on a mortgage, it's a curse. It can be a curse. And what happened is some things came down, and I got I guess a bad roommate. I thought he was a great guy, um, but he was a good guy, but he had a problem with sticking to his commitments, and I took it a little personal because he was supposed to pay me mortgage payments that I didn't get. Like, he had rent, right? And he didn't give it to me. And you know what the irony of this was is that I spent in those times, I was so broke that I was staying home while he was going out and partying, while he was going out and doing things that I wanted to do. He was going out and doing those things, and I was staying home because I had to pay a mortgage, right? And so I took it personally, and I couldn't afford to do anything because I was just trying to make my mortgage. So it was sort of a bad situation. So eventually I had to kick him out. Okay. And then the mortgage was completely on me. Um, and again, it was another bad financial decision. I would have been better off in rent at the time because I can quickly make changes when I'm in rent opposed to when I'm in a mortgage. I got to sell a property now just to get out of it. So, the moral of the story here, guys, and where I'm going with this is that by the time all this was done, I ended up with approximately, I'm talking about how the habit started. But where it all ended is I met my wife. I met Angie. This is the beginning of the upside. I love my wife dearly, man. I'm so blessed. Angie she's everything to me, um, and I'd do anything for her forever. She is stuck with me forever. Um, but we found ourselves, between me and my stupid decisions. At this point, I took out a $10,000 loan on another car. The good news was I got a car loan for it this time, and so it wasn't as bad of interest rate. It was looking at like 8 or 9%, which still isn't good, right? It's still horrible, but that's all I could do at the time. And so I had a $10,000 car that I owed on. I had $7,000 in credit card debt, and my wife came into the marriage and she had some debt as well. She had some things that happened as well. She had student loans and some other credit card debts. And she would admit that she had some problems with spending habits, that she leaned on these credit cards a lot, paycheck to paycheck even. And so, guys, when all that happened, I guess what I wanted to show you was the small, slow steps that most of you that are in debt can understand and relate to, guys. It's small steps that happen. We don't get in 50, 40, $50,000 debt overnight. Life happens. Life happens when we're not prepared and we end up in this debt. And me and my wife found that we were combined in about $50,000 worth of debt. 50,000. Guys, that's my story on how we got into debt. Tomorrow, or excuse me, Monday, when I come back at you, I want to share with you with how we got out of debt. Okay? All right, guys. Well, everybody, today's payday, so automating my finances, it's still going strong. I'll be back with you next week as well. We'll talk more about that. Guys, everybody have a fantastic day and a fantastic weekend. God bless. Take care. Bye.